And here we are, we're back with the Vacuous Perspective, episode 8. Nate, episode 8?
How you going, Val? Eight is a very lucky number in Chinese culture.
It is.
I'm not sure why.
Oh, I'm sure it's just a nice number.
Is it?
I don't know.
It's kind of like the infinity sign, but upright.
That's true.
I don't know what significance that has, but I like it. Number 8.
Yeah. What's been happening this week? Anything major?
Well, recovering from COVID has been my number one priority.
Yeah, and how's that?
It's the first day back at work today was a bit sad, actually. Had a week and a day off.
Yep.
Hanging out. Just 3 days I was pretty sick. You caught me on the second day of it.
Yep.
In last week's episode. Yeah, it hung around for about one more day, and then I was on the road to recovery.
Well done.
Thank you. I feel good about it. And I haven't lost any endurance, I don't think. That's one thing I was worried about. I heard of people taking their dogs for a walk afterwards and I don't know, struggling to breathe afterwards.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you don't want that.
No, don't have that.
And of course, everyone's talking about sort of long COVID now. So when I catch COVID, I don't talk about if I catch it. Sort of when I catch it, you got to, I guess, hope that you're not going to have that, right? Because that sounds fucking dreadful.
No, that's awful. But I have been dying to hear how you've gone with your push-ups.
Right.
Have you done it?
Well. Okay, so yes, you gave me some homework last week. Said I was going to attempt some push-ups. I think we started with a smallish number. I don't remember. But
I don't know. We started with 40, and I don't know how we landed on 75. That was.
I just remember you saying like, oh, 75, and I was like, yeah, 75. All right, yeah, fuck it, I can do it. I'll do 75. Yeah, so I gave it a go.
I reckon you would have gotten to about 11.
You're being very kind. You're very kind. You're a very kind soul. No, I was struggling after, say, like 5 or 6. And I did 7. I got to 7 and went, well, that's 10%. That's 10% of what I wanted to achieve, right? Not that I saw that as like a goalpost. It was just more I don't know. This is what I was sort of led to believe would happen, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I can't do 7. I can't do 7. I can't say that I'm going to do some homework, and come back and talk about numbers like 75 and say and do 7.
It's not even 10%.
It's
not
not
7.5.
It's more like 9 and a bit percent. Yeah, you're right. Look, I didn't do 7. I did 8. Now, I'm not happy with that number, but
so 8 in one go.
I was struggling with that 8th one, man. I was like, come on. And you know what's funny is after the 7th one, I didn't like give up or anything. Maybe mentally.
Yeah.
But when I said, no, make sure you're done. I didn't want to have anything left in the tank, right? I wanted to be able to not do the last push-up. That was the plan.
Yep.
I didn't want to just go, well, there you go, 7, tick. See you next time. Like, easy money. I got to 7 and went, no, come on, let's see if you got anything left in the tank here.
So were you pushing and your arms were shaking?
They were hurting. I wouldn't say they were shaking. I know it was shaking.
Was your chest hurting?
Do you reckon I could have got out a couple more? Maybe I could have got out one more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe
well done.
No.
Push yourself.
Like I said, I'm not happy with it. I don't think I did push myself too much, but I couldn't go any further. So I guess I did. Look, so what are we to? It was actually really hard, man. It was actually really hard. And what kind of numbers were you talking about last week? What's normal?
Well, I'm supposed to do 193 today. Yeah. As part of my push-up challenge, but I'm just doing them for my knees, and I've only done 80 today. But I'm on track, so I've done like 2,000 and something
that's
in
amazing.
20 days.
Good job. Keep it up. But if you were doing regular push-ups, you reckon you could bash out 30 or 40 or something?
Yeah, no more than 40.
And you'd be struggling after that. You'd be.
Yeah. I reckon. Yeah. I'll prove it to you one day.
Well, that'll be good. Yeah, I'll definitely I'll have a look.
It's kind of pointless though, right?
Why
Because
is that?
you only need to get up once.
Yes. Well,
Why would you get off the ground repeatedly?
so you're saying that like there's exercises out there that actually do fulfill a task that is something that we do all the time that should be sort of exercised? What are we talking there? Running? You like I know you like running.
Love my running. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm struggling actually
I hear swimming's a really good all-round workout, right? Swimming's a really good one, right?
Yep.
Good for like the body. The body doesn't struggle as hard in the water.
Yep, low resistance, low impact. Actually, I wouldn't say it's low resistance. Actually, low impact,
And
and
yeah,
it moves your whole body, so your whole spine gets to move. That's the
sure.
best thing. Your shoulders are rotating. It's like the opposite. If you could see me right now, I'm sort of swimming in my chair, but my arms don't move.
Yeah. But but we don't really swim much anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't really see a time when we were swimming to catch our food.
Yeah, swimming's a bit pointless. You swim to survive, right? If you fall off a boat or something.
Yeah, or for fun nowadays.
Off a raft. Maybe I'll say I fall off a raft.
Yeah, but if you're out on the raft, you're fishing, you fall off the raft, you need to be able to swim. Yeah.
I reckon diving makes sense. Diving down, 5, 10
Diving
meters.
down. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you could spear
crustaceans.
something. Sure. That makes sense. So running's good. We could say something like the javelin event. If you were doing that, that was probably something that was quite useful. Being able to ditch a spear, quite hard.
Yeah. But you don't need to ditch it far, right? Who's throwing? No. Okay, if someone ran along, pegged a javelin 70 meters and killed a deer, that person is a fucking legend. I mean, you're not. Yeah,
if that was the hunting technique, if the hunting technique was get 70 meters away, and once you're 70 meters away, launch it.
If you have to spear something from 70 meters, you're going to be exhausted, before you have a meal.
It's true. It's
not a heat-seeking javelin. It's not like this. It's not this
in
missile.
a war scenario, though, you could throw a volley of spears 70 meters. That would be a pretty dominant move.
Maybe if all of you, like the whole tribe, all throw a spear at the same time, it kind of increases your probabilities a little bit, maybe. Well,
other than that, there's no sports that are actually.
I used to be very good at discus.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was it's a strange event, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's very strange in the way that you hold this thing. Because, if you gave me that thing, you're like, oh, throw this, right? I would, if you just gave it to me and I had no idea what discus was, the sport of discus, I would just get it like a frisbee and I'd just try and chuck it, right? And it wouldn't go very far, right? Yeah. And then they've got this technique where they're cupping the outside edge like with the fingertips.
Yeah, your fingertips just go over the edge, yeah.
And they're going to rotate, do a big spinnies, and let the discus roll off their index finger.
Yeah, it's all about the release. You got to have it's got to rip off that front finger, and then you get that centrifugal. Centrifugal, is that how you say it, or is it centrifugal?
Is that from that song? Yeah, centrifugal motion.
Yeah, you get that going on the
perpetual bliss.
Because the discus, it like say you throw a discus 50 meters. It is at its highest point at say like between 20 and 25. Like my point being, it floats down on the air further than, so it's not like a parabola, like a parabola that is equal on the way up and equal on the way down.
Right.
It goes further. If you get good release on the discus and it sits flat, you get way further. So it's all about, that's where a lot of the technique comes into it. Like you can't just like rip it like a shot put and just have it, flapping through the air like a big dog shit.
Yeah, I know this has been like put forward before. I can't remember who said it, but the Olympics should have their best and brightest, like, the best athletes they've got, right?
Mm.
And also like submit like a regular citizen from that country as well, just so we get the idea of like or just a regular person from the host city, perhaps. They just have someone perform in the event. So you discus one. So you'd be like, and here comes the local boy, and everyone goes, yay, like get behind him. And he's shit, right? He's just rubbish, right?
You got to compare the champions to some dribble.
Exactly. They're being decided by a centimetre or two, I want to see the 10-metre thing get done by the 65-metre throw and go, wow, okay, these guys are athletes. You know what I mean? This isn't just like,
you know to compare it to, right?
Yeah, and the walking event?
Yes.
People would get ditched out of that. The local boy or girl would get ditched out of that event in a heartbeat because, they're obviously they're just, they've been walking for a while, but these guys are athlete walkers.
Hey man, they walk incredibly fast. There's a fair bit of technique in that, and that's terrible for you. I don't know if it's your hips or what, because you're forcing your body to do something. It's like, you're trying to run, but run in a way that is not optimal.
Officially the strangest sport.
The rules of walking, I'm not an expert on it, but you always have to have one foot on the ground.
Yes.
Makes sense, right?
Yes. This, otherwise it would be constituted as some sort of trot or a gallop or a run.
Exactly. And the other thing, the main thing is your leg has to be straight when it is going under your body.
Right. So they return to some sort of neutral position when they're mid-stride.
I guess so. It's not even really a neutral position. It's
But I've seen them. They sway the hips. They can
sway. Yeah, the hips go nuts because that's allowing your body, your leg to go straight when it goes underneath.
Oh my god.
But discus. I don't know where that came from because who's throwing? Like, what are you trying to hit someone? Like maybe it's some kind of really primitive, like catapult type thing. You're just throwing
projectiles.
Yeah,
projectiles.
Yeah, just throwing stuff. Yeah.
Started with rocks, ended up with discus and spears. So javelins.
As the opposing army is charging you, do you start off by you lob a spear? So when they're about 70 meters away, you lob a spear.
No, you're lobbing the hammer throw first. You're throwing the hammers first.
Yeah, okay. And then the hammer does go
boys. You got your big boys at the front doing big spinnies in front of their opposition. The opposition is standing on the hill or whatever, and they're just doing those, those crazy spins that the hammer throw guys do, just on the spot. They're just spinning.
They pick up some serious speed with that.
And when the king or whatever, or the commander says release, they all release their hammer throws at the same time. Then your spears are coming, Then the spears are coming. And just imagine the chaos when you're approaching and the shot putters come out.
And these guys are fucking athletic.
Well, the shot putters are going to lay big, heavy cannonballs on your head. You know what I mean? Is there another
That's the last item, though, because you can only throw a shot put like not even 20 meters. So they're pretty close by that time. But by the time the enemy is at 20 meters, you better be grabbing your sword. All right, fuck the shot put.
So where's the sword event? Oh, you got your fencing. You've got your fencing in the Olympics. So we've got our swordsmen. They are there.
That's a very dainty sword they have. It's like a big toothpick.
Yeah, have we got anything better than that in the Olympics? I don't really know.
Two people fighting with some double-handed Excalibur swords.
How impractical, though. How impractical. There's some of the great swords where they're like bigger than the person's body. You know what I mean? They got to wield this thing. They've got to lift it. It makes no sense.
Maybe it was made for a giant.
Yeah, well, not these ones. These ones were just impractical. I'm going to cut you in half, Game of Thrones style. Great stuff. But there was a bit of a funny thing because like all the long swords that they show in the movies where the guy's got it on the back, apparently that doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. So if you imagine like reaching for a sword behind your head right now, all right, grab the handle, okay, and then pull up to like get it out of its sheath.
Oh yeah.
It's on your back. As soon as I've got to my entire arm stretch, I'm not out of the sheath. That thing's still touching my back, you know? So you can't get it out from behind there. So all those movies where the guy's got the sword on his back, the big sword, not practical.
I would love to see a legit samurai sword fight, like a one-on-one. Yeah, they fight to the death. That's their. You challenge someone to a duel. You both show up.
Yep.
You have your big sword for killing other people, and you have your little sword for killing yourself if you dishonor your name or whatever, dishonor your family.
Is that the only purpose of that sword? Surely it's just an extra sword until you need to use it on yourself. It's not like you build it and pop it in there and be like, there's my death sword.
I'm pretty sure it's your suicide sword.
Oh, I don't know about that. Surely it's got some other uses.
It's just this. I think they were big into suicide.
Well, they were big into like the respect of like their family name and all that sort of stuff, and it was considered like great dishonor. And the generals did it even like later in the piece. Because I watched The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Have you seen that movie?
I have once upon a time, yeah.
Yeah, and in that, like,
is it good?
Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's fucking long, but it's a good movie. Like Tom Cruise, I mean. I talk smack about him, but he's a good actor. Right? He's a good actor.
He's Maverick. He's The Last Samurai. Fuck, man.
Yeah, he's Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible fame. And, Edge of Tomorrow, have you seen that one?
I like that.
It's a really, really good movie.
That's cool sci-fi.
It's it's up there. It's a very cool sci-fi. But now I'm talking about Tom Cruise.
We always end up with Tom Cruise.
Oh, well, that's fine.
It's just a natural. I got that. I have a Dianetics book, actually.
Oh, no.
Wait, that's what it's called, right? Dianetics is the first.
Dianetics
is that the first volume?
Yeah.
I found it in one of those free side of the road libraries. Like, some people put out like a little wooden box on their driveway, and
so cool.
You pick up a book, drop off a book, or whatever. I was walking Luffingham, the pug around, and saw Dianetics in there, and I was like, man, I want this. Because I wasn't going to go buy one, right? But if it's just sitting there. So I did go exchange a book. I did come back next time with a book, so I didn't want to be that guy. And
of course. So what did you bring? What did you bring?
It was called the Rorschach Text. It's some book that it's Dan O'Leary's book. I don't know why. It's back in school or something. He either gave it to me to read or like, I don't know how I ended up with it.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, it's about Rorschach Text, I think it's called, is about, I never read it, but I got the gist of it somehow. It's like this shadowy, sharky figure is made out of like a jumble of letters and like seems to go around just fucking with people. I don't really understand it, but so I probably shouldn't have tried to explain it there.
No, but the other problem is that you just shoved it in someone else's like potential reading thing, like into their reading world. The Dianetics one, right? Dianetics, putting that on your front verge and saying, here, like whoever wants to have a read can have a read.
Do you reckon they're trying to recruit people just by populating? Getting information out there.
Okay, so two scenarios, right? You bought Dianetics when maybe 5-10 years ago. You read it, thought it was a bunch of rubbish, and put it down, put it away. You know what I mean? And then went, oh, I've got this library thing. There's no way you'd put that book in there if you disagreed with. If you didn't like what was...
Oh, yeah, you'd throw it in the bin, right?
Yeah, you'd throw it in the bin. You wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, everyone should read this. Like, so it's the only reason to put it out there would be if you're down with it.
That's a good point. So, the joke's on them, though, because I haven't read it.
Yeah, well, no, they were hoping someone else picked it up.
Taken it out of circulation.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting in my bookshelf.
Yeah, I had a brochure from when I moved in to my place. I had a brochure from like one of those local sort of church organizations, and on the front it said, "Can the dead speak again?" or something. That was what was on the cover of the brochure. Can the dead really speak or something? And I went, oh man, I'm saving this. I've still got it somewhere. I'll pull it out one time. I'll have a read. But no, I can't find it right now.
I was trying to figure out what this Rorschach text is about.
So is it a novel or is it
story
a
of an amnesiac? Amnesia? Is that when you have amnesia? How do you say that? Amnesiac. Rediscovering his past life through a surreal collection of clues that has left himself while evading a steampunk villain and the shark of the title. What?
Jesus Christ, man.
Eric Sanderson wakes up with no memory of who he is or any past experiences. Man, that would suck. I was listening to Michio Kaku on Joe Rogan, and he reckons that what they're trying to get to, you know how there's the idea of like electrical impulses into your brain to either transfer information. Yeah, the Matrix, basically. What their ultimate goal is in the short term, and the reason why they're trying to develop this technology at the moment, is people with short-term amnesia.
Yeah.
What's that one old people have? Alzheimer's, is it? Where you forget
dementia.
Yeah, dementia, basically. All that stuff. So you wake up each day and you've forgotten, where you live, stuff like that. You basically have this little shock that you can deliver, this electronic stimulation you can deliver to your brain and reimplant those memories.
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, because I don't know a lot about the human brain, but I once heard that or read somewhere that like you don't forget anything. Like all the information is stored in the brain. It's all there. It's the ability to recall that gets worse over time, or it's a muscle and you need to, keep it sharp or whatever. It's like a muscle knife, keep it sharp. Look, because that's still in there, I'm not sure about dementia and Alzheimer's patients or even people who have suffered amnesia. If it's still all there, then surely they can bypass it or essentially download it and reload
a recall rather than input type.
Yeah, I think it's all there still. I don't think they're going to have their brain downloaded and they can give you a reboot. I think it's more they're accessing.
I like it how you just take some abstract idea and you just make it logical in your brain. And you're like, no, I don't think, look, I haven't studied the brain. I haven't studied any of this, but what I think is happening.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a true vacuous perspective, if I was saying.
It's true. It's true. But also like the way that Elon Musk talks about how Neuralink's going to work as essentially a bypass for the areas of the brain that are not functioning correctly, right, for whatever reason.
I've got so many areas not functioning correctly.
Yeah, but, I think they're targeting people who have slightly bigger problems than yourself at this point. The bypass is because that area of the brain's, not doing its jam. And they make some pretty crazy claims about people who haven't been able to walk, being able to walk again, people being able to see again, all this sort of crazy stuff, man.
There's this
really different, yeah.
There's this savant who really likes numbers. He's got this weird kind of crazy obsession with numbers, and he has a couple of claims to fame. A lot of these savants, there's also the Rain, the movie Rain Man.
Yeah, of course.
And it's based off a real person. Who plays Rain Man? Tom Cruise missed out. He could have been Rain Man. Anyway, the premise of that is the Rain Man can recall everything he's ever read, and there is this dude who's slightly, I guess he doesn't have all his faculties. It would seem from an ordinary person, but he can recall 98% of everything he's ever read, and he's just a bookworm. Just loves it. So but the problem is you can't really study him very well because he can't communicate how he feels and what's going on because he's not quite with it, right? So some things are amped up. Like one part of his brain is working incredibly well, but the other part not so much. So but then there's this other dude who lives in the UK and has this crazy ability with numbers. One of the things he did is he remembered pi to 25,000 decimal places.
Okay.
Without making an error. And so he's got the world record, and you can see it's like a 50-minute thing on YouTube about this bloke.
Amazing.
He sits there, and there's like a room of 6 people, all with pi written out. And their job is just every time he says a number, just tick it off. And they do it in like 2-hour sessions. So he sits down and just goes like, all right, pi is a non-repeating, completely random number that computers can't, calculate the end of. And he's sitting there just rattling this off, and he does the whole 25,000. I think it took just over 6 hours, no errors, and everyone's just like, fucking well done, mate. And he's got some other crazy. I mean, that's I don't understand what's going on with him. But sorry, and the reason I bring him up though is this dude. He had some kind of epileptic fit thing when he was younger, and that's when he remembers having some of these. When the first time he sort of remembers having these like weird interactions with numbers, which I'll get to in a second. But he doesn't actually have all the other sort of, I guess I'll call it disabilities. He doesn't have his interactions with people are normal. If he went to the shops to buy some milk, you wouldn't. You wouldn't question it. He's just this normal dude, but also has this superpower. So what's great is he can communicate what is happening when he's doing this superpower in like reciting this number, and he can also multiply together crazy numbers, insane numbers. And he says he doesn't even, so he can explain how he does it, because they're like, how do you do this? He reckons, and I almost want to call bullshit.
I know. I think I feel like I know where you're going with this.
He says he reads pi like a landscape. So he doesn't have to remember it. He just feels it intuitively. And that's why he can do 25,000. He says that he gets like certain shapes in his mind he starts seeing, right? And he associates the numbers with these weird irregular shapes of different colors. So here's something fucking weird going on in his brain. And he says that he basically just goes through pi like a landscape and is just reading to you what the shapes are.
The way you would describe, okay, so I'm seeing some hills over here, and then there's a tree, and then there's the shoreline, and behind that is the sky, and there's 3 clouds in the sky. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's easy when you're looking at a landscape to describe it.
I actually thought that you were going to say that he, like what you said, there's a guy who can remember everything he's written down or whatever.
Oh, I read, yeah.
Well, yeah, read, sorry. But if he just read all of the sums, just read them.
Yeah, okay. So then he can recall it because
storage. Yeah. Chuck it in storage, right? You don't even need to know the maths. You just have to remember the numbers.
Well, some scientists who heard this guy describing how he does it, this is in the doco, reckon that they were very skeptical, as you should be, right? Because he describes numbers as shapes. He says every number between 1 and 1,000, or it's 10,000 actually, I think it was 10,000, has a sort of a distinctive 3D kind of shape and a sort of color. And so what they did to test him one way is they got him to, they would say, all right, 998.
Yeah. Okay.
And he would mold with some Play-Doh. He would have to mold what he sees. And then they would, be like 27, 1,286. And so he keeps doing that. And then a few days later, they would ask him to do the same thing. And they'll be like, yeah, well, he at least has remembered the shapes, right? But they didn't tell him going in that they're going to ask him to repeat these things. And they were unsure whether, they're trying to figure out if this guy's talking shit or not, because this is not the way our brain works in intuiting numbers. And he also reckons they hooked him up to a lie detector, because he says that he sees numbers as like the number 6 he sees as a really it kind of scares him a little bit, which is standard. like a really small kind of dark kind of thing. And the number 3, I think it was, is this, he sees it as this ginormous, huge, colossal like mountain. And each of those numbers, like when you look at it, he used to stand there like looking at the clock at like recess and stuff, because and looking at numbers he liked, because they gave him a feeling, like different numbers gave him this certain feeling. And so he doesn't like the number 6. And what they do is they hook him up to a lie detector, and because they said, oh, if you reckon that if you feel certain ways about numbers, and he knows pi and shit like that, what they do is they gave him pi and they asked him to like read it, but they've either, you know, changed every now and then, they'll change a number, or you know, they'll put in a 6 instead of a 3, like replace it, drop one out, stuff like that. He has these visceral reactions to like when the 6 is in there, it shouldn't be there. It's like he has like a real, you know, like, I don't know, like an adrenaline spike or some shit. I don't know how it works. Stuff like that. And they were like, by the end of it, I can't really know where they landed on it. They were impressed. The scientists were very impressed with, they were like, fuck, didn't think that he would be able to have those kind of reactions and do these tests. And they think that he may be, you know, redefining the way that we think about, or the way we should think about how the brain works.
Yeah.
You have strong feelings about the brain.
I do. Yeah. Love it. I think it's the hardest thing to talk about, because it's comparing realities almost. I mean, I will never know what it feels like to be to experience someone else's experience, if you like. I'll never have that.
You don't have that hardware.
Even if someone could tell me about it, that I'll never know. So, yeah, bring on the chips.
I would love to experience life through someone else's hardware.
Yeah, there's a movie about that. Have you ever seen that one?
Freaky Friday?
No, it's called Being John Malkovich.
I've heard of that a million times.
So John Cusack is in it, and the concept is that this guy discovers in his office or home or something a little like what you'd call it's like an aircon duct essentially at the ground level.
Yeah.
And if you crawl into it, you get teleported into the mind of John Malkovich.
I definitely haven't seen this. Okay.
And John Malkovich plays himself, and it's one of the weirdest fucking movies, man. But it's sort of just it does touch on what we just talked about then, which is, well, that was more of I want to experience his life more than experience what he experiences. You know,
I would love to experience other people's emotions. I would love, firstly, because I can't become like you know, the heavyweight boxing champion, right? I would love to know what it feels like to I don't know,
to be the best, to be the one.
The pinnacle without actually putting in the effort.
We used to do this before. We'd watch the UFC together, and we'd be watching the guys' fights. Maybe this third round, they're getting a bit tired, right? One guy will land a couple, you know, good flurry on the other one, and he's like a little bit dazed, and I'm thinking, sub me in. Like, sub me in, like, put me in as the guy who just punched the other guy a little bit, and I'll try and get a win. You know what I mean? Like, this is the perfect time. It's not going to happen at the start of the fight. It's not going to happen anywhere but now. This is the time. You know, this is where I need to be teleported into his brain, because, you know, it's my chance
to land the finishing blow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure that'll happen. I mean, we've already got virtual reality. What we're essentially talking about is virtual reality times 1,000. Not virtual reality 2, not virtual reality 3. No, virtual reality 1,000. You know, that's what it'll be. You know, because they call a virtual reality game, sometimes they'll call it an experience.
It's inevitable.
I think that word experience is going to be heightened. You know, the more they go, the further they go with it.
Maybe I don't. Maybe that's just going to creep me out too much. Maybe I should just stick. I think with emotions,
It's creepy.
I'm not probably like most blokes. I'm not a big crier. Like I don't know when the last time I cried was. I've cried
Right.
when I was younger. Like right. Um, and then it's funny. Like whereas like my girlfriend sometimes every now and then if she's in that sort of like mood, like before the 80K, she was under a lot of stress.
Mm,
I started coming down with something that may have been COVID.
mm,
We're up at 4 a.m. She's
mm,
about to embark on
mm,
the biggest race of her life. She's
mm,
fucking tired. She's stressed. I'm kind of unwell. There's
mm.
a lot of uncertainties. And she just bursts into tears like when
Yeah.
she's eating her toast, And I was like, man, that's kind of cool. Like I haven't,
Bro, you should cry more.
I haven't been overwhelmed
Bro,
like
you should cry more.
I
Just
should. I should. I
get,
just don't know how to like bring it on.
Nah, see, you can't bring it on. See, I remember recently, it's because I don't cry all that often either, right? But I think the last time I would have cried would have been in the last 12 months, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was on the phone, I was talking to my parents. Either they were being belligerent or I was.
Yeah.
Don't remember, but I'm sure it was
Not important. Let's just assume it was them.
I'm sure it was both our faults,
Mm.
right? And I remember hanging up the phone, angry, really angry,
Yeah.
and I turned on my Netflix. Yeah, I was switching on the net. I was turned on my Netflix. I watched Afterlife season 2, episode 1, and at the end of the episode, it wasn't even related. It wasn't about your parents or anything. The show, the show is about a guy's wife who dies.
Yeah.
And I finished the episode and I bawled my fucking eyes out after the episode.
That is a powerful show.
And I felt terrible about what the way I acted. I felt bad about all that. And after I'd cried, obviously people will talk about this after they've cried. It's not that you feel better, but something happened where it's out now or whatever it is.
Inbuilt catharsis, right? There's something to it. Sometimes I come in, Christy's watching Chicago Fire, and it'll be like an emotional episode, and she'll just be like, she'll just be like, I've been crying. It's so emotional.
Okay.
She's like,
no, but there are some movies that will make me cry. There's not many movies that make me cry, even if they are really sad, right? Like, there's a bunch of sad movies out there, but I don't necessarily pursue a sad movie either. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to watch a sad movie today. That'll be good. I don't do that. But like, I've got really weird ones that I cry in. Like, I cry in Cool Runnings.
What a movie!
I cry in Cool Runnings because there's the bit at where they fall off the bobsled at the end, and they're getting all smashed up by the thing. And everyone's like worried about them because they're just concerned for these athletes' safety, and they get out and they say, let's finish this race, and they pop it on their shoulders and they start walking it, which didn't really happen, I don't think. And they started walking it up.
Did any of it happen?
Yeah, most of that happened.
Yeah, okay.
90% of that happened.
Yeah, awesome.
Then you've got the Swedish guys or Danish guys, the guys who are really good at bobsledding, the guys who are giving him shit for just being there, have finally seen that these guys are all right, and they start the clap. They start the clap that at Calgary that then goes and everybody starts clapping, and and the music is obviously that triumphant Disney music. They're just shoving that. So yeah, I'll cry in that movie at that bit.
That's fair enough.
The Castle.
Great movie.
That movie also does the same thing to me. During the Bud Tingwell speech about it's not a house, it's a home. It's got memories, great memories, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. That gets me.
Fair enough.
And I can't really think of any others, to be honest. Can't think of any others.
Yeah, well, with that Afterlife one, you were charged up from your chat beforehand, which is a bit different. rather than it probably just wasn't just that. Although that was an emotional episode. I do remember that one.
Oh, Brood. I reckon if I watched it again right now, because I've forgotten about it, I watched it again right now, it would do the same thing.
It's worth a watch. I see here that women cry 6 times a month or 72 times a year.
Okay.
On average, I reckon. But
is
then
that a website? Is it a website? You said that.
It says in comparison. Okay, it's like fucking news.com.au. Yeah.
Oh,
in comparison, men will shed a tear just 3 times a month. What? What is that like? What am I? Like a bloody unemotional drongo that just can't access. I'm like going on,
People are crying 6 times a month to make up for you, man. To make up for you.
I'm going to try and just let one out.
Oh, I don't think you can just let one out, can you?
Maybe it'll be like I'll like drop my beer or something, and I'll just let it all go.
Oh wow, that scares me. That scares me.
I got a funeral.
I remember.
Maybe I'll really channel. I'm actually really sad about it.
I once called you and said, I don't know. I was just talking about mental health in general terms.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to you, hey man, like, if you ever need to talk to somebody, because like you don't seem to have much, like, you've never come to me with much, like, in that sort of realm.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to make sure that you are okay and that you're not just like bottling some shit up, like that you never talk about. You know what I mean? Because then you're going to have that first cry after Afterlife season 2 episode 1. You're going to have that, but then it's going to be like, and here comes all the shit. And none of us even know anything, man. None of us even know. All right, man. So
yeah, no, true. Maybe I'm just going to go postal or something. Yeah, maybe when I do cry, it'll be like a flood.
So, but I need to know, like, when was the last time do you think you cried? Are we talking like 10 years? What are we talking?
I think it'd have to be
10 years.
So I'm 35. Oh, look, maybe I've squeezed one out at some point. You know what I mean? But not a proper, not like a sob. Like I can't think of. I'm sure. Yeah, maybe I've thought about something before, and it just kind of like tears me up a little bit.
Gets you.
Yeah, but like nothing. Not.
I always used to worry about people who shed a tear at like the drop of a hat, right? Because I'm like, whoa, what's happened? And they'll go, oh, whatever's happened. It could be the death of a celebrity or, something like that. And I'm like, whoa. We're not crying about that because because real tragedy's coming. You don't have to like bring it in. It's coming. Like, don't worry about it. Like you'll get your chance.
I just feel like it's I just feel like it doesn't help. Like that's probably the main thing. Like I'm pretty practical. I'm like, don't fucking cry about it. Like, go do it or whatever. Like I'm like, this doesn't help anyone, but it probably does help. Like you're saying, it is your body's natural cathartic response.
Helps. It definitely helps. Yeah.
Man, you were talking about Cool Runnings before.
Yeah.
Great movie. Our equivalent, our real life sort of Australian equivalent is doing a Bradbury, right?
Bradbury. But that was different.
Stephen Bradbury?
That was different.
Oh, it's different. I agree. What
do you say? He won.
He got the main medal. Main thing.
At the gold medal.
Yeah, 100%. You're 100% right.
But okay, so backtrack. Bradbury.
Stephen Bradbury won the 90... which one did you win? Sorry.
Speed skating thing, right?
2002.
What? We don't do very good at
Salt Lake City Winter Olympics.
And traditionally, Australians aren't in the mix for these. What happens? We got some skaters.
We've got that's sort of the interesting thing, right? So he's known for winning this gold medal. In 2002, and he was lagging behind the whole field, and the whole field just falls over on the last turn, and he just skates through for the gold. And then everyone kind of like jokes about it, like doing a Bradbury is like, essentially it's not giving up when
beating all the odds,
stuff like that. But
Getting lucky. Like he got really lucky. That's not meant to happen.
Okay. Exactly right. I think getting lucky is kind of what it is synonymous with. But I feel like it just does a colossal disservice to focus only on that one lucky moment. Where it's really hard not to, right? Because it's such a big thing. So in the early 90s, he was involved in ice skating, right? So an Australian involved in ice skating right at the beginning of in its infancy. So he was in like the first relay team and stuff way back when. And we actually were the reigning world champions in 92.
Oh, we got some skaters.
Yeah. They won the 5K relay. Back when I guess it put us on the map, right? So we'd never won a Winter Olympic medal ever, and they become the reigning world champs, and so they head into the 92 Winter Olympics. And
well, that would be 94, right? Because 92 was Barcelona, right?
90. Well, 90. It was the 91 world champs.
Okay.
And then the 92 Winter Olympics, they came in as the reigning world champs.
But hang on. Because 92 was Barcelona. Did they used to do the Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics?
For some reason, there was one in 92 and 94. I don't think they'd figured it out. They were doing it every odd year to the Olympics.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyway, I was looking at this recently, and I was that confused me as well because it's not a 4-year gap.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that was a thing that got brought in.
Or I just completely missed that. Anyway. So in the 94, he was in the relay team. So he came in 92 and he was relegated to the reserve. So he didn't actually even, he didn't sort of, I guess, make the team. I don't know if someone else came in or he just wasn't performing. I'm not sure. But then in the 94 Winter Olympics, he won Australia's first ever Winter Olympic medal. And this is more so when he's in his prime, right? You can imagine he's pretty young at this point in his career. And he came into the 1K event as the favourite, the solo, the individual 1K. He was in the favourite, and he was pushed over by a competitor who was subsequently disqualified, and he was knocked over by a rival in the 500 metre. So that was a fail.
Well, wait. If you come second and the guy gets TQ'd in the first place, you win, right?
Because once someone's pushed you out, they get DQ'd, but the race just goes on. Right, so if you don't finish in the top two, that's how it works. So you have to finish in the top two to qualify. If someone pushes you over, they don't do a replay. I think in some weird circumstances they might, because when Bradbury won, they said, we don't know if it's going to stand or not. And then the commentator was like, no, I think it's going to stand, like, because there was no, I don't know what they look into. And then in the 94 World Championships, he was in a crash where a competitor's ice skate sliced right through his thigh.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
All 4 quadricep muscles.
Oh my God.
When his heart rate's over 200 beats per minute.
Yeah, right. Okay, so bad news bears. He's kind of got really unlucky. It's the opposite of Bradbury so far.
Well, yeah, so far, right? But most people don't. So he said he thought he was going to die if he lost consciousness.
Yeah, right, because his blood was pumping quick.
Bleeding out on the ice. So he had 111 stitches, 3 weeks where he was unable to move, and apparently it was a 1.5 year recovery.
Wow.
So he gets his stitches, gets going again. 98 Winter Olympics.
Right.
Comes in, is regarded as a contender in the 500 metre and the 1K, impeded in collisions in both. Another fail.
No way.
Yeah. Apparently it's pretty common. It must be pretty common, right, in this kind of speed ice skating, this short distance.
Right. Hang at the back. Wait.
Yeah, right. And September 2000, a skater falls in front of him at training. He tries to jump over him, but he clips him, trips headfirst into barriers and fractures his C4 and C5 vertebrae.
Oh, no. Where are they? On your?
That's high up in your neck, like right in a critical part of your neck. I think they're one of the more functional vertebrae. So he's got a month and a half in a halo brace.
Oh shit! I didn't know this speed skating sport was so fucking deadly. I didn't know that. I thought it was just dudes going around the track.
I know, right?
with their cool shaped helmets. Yeah, do they wear the bike style sort of helmets? Do they wear those?
They've got some kind of helmet, but I don't know. It's not as slick as you would think.
No, you know the ones I'm thinking about in the velodromes.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean the ones
no,
the teardrop ones that go right back.
They wear regular helmets.
Oh, okay, maybe now they probably have cool ones. But yeah, he gets a bunch of pins and plates and things into his skull and his chest. Doctors told him he'd never take the ice again, right? Classic. Yeah. I reckon this is a classic doctor move, right?
How many times do they say that?
And so he butters up. 2002 Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
He's told everyone he concedes his best is behind him in terms of challenging for medals, but he wants to be back on the ice and representing his country. So, and then it comes to the 1K, right?
Yeah.
So the fields are 5 athletes. It's like, you have a heat of 5.
Okay, yeah. So they're doing heats,
through.
like sprint racing and everything.
It's like a knockout, essentially, and you just kind of keep going. In the quarterfinal, he's allocated to the same race as the favourite for the host nation, being the US, and the reigning world champ. So he finishes third, and he thought he was eliminated, as he ordinarily would be. And after the fact, they disqualify one of the 2 winners, and so he gets through on like a bit of charity.
Okay,
he goes through to the semi-final, like you alluded to before. His strategy becomes he knows he can't compete with these guys because he's just not in his prime. He's just rubbish, right? It's just an absolute turd out there. So his strategy is just to sort of lag behind, survive, don't get caught up in any crashes, and hope for the best.
Good plan.
Great plan. So in the semi-final, the whole field crashes and he goes through the final.
Yeah.
Final.
Wait. That happened in the lead up
to the semi-final as well.
Oh. So he goes into the final thinking, do that again.
And everyone's laughing, like, he just shouldn't be there. So he can't even keep up when they're just like kind of keeping pace. Watch the video of it. This time, the whole field didn't crash on the last corner in the semi-final. They just did crash out, and he managed to stay upright and get the win that way. Whereas in the final, he's barely in picture. You've forgotten about him. Basil Zemplis is commentating.
Yeah, right.
And on the final corner, they just all skittle. And they're all like, they're like flopping like, salmon upstream trying to get to the finish line, and he just skates on through. And so like naturally that's become, an Insta classic, right? The underdog story. But like there's this sort of general sentiment that is undeserving, right? But his story's so oversimplified. Like in a vacuum, you're like, oh yeah, everyone fell over and the Australian, gets a victory, and because he's Australian, it seems so unlikely. But he's recovered from more adversity than anyone has ever. Like he's in a sport that Australians don't compete in.
He won the gold medal after the doctor gave him the "you'll never skate again" treatment.
Well, he was part of the team that won Australia's first Winter Olympic medal ever in '94, the relay team. So he's got Australia's first Winter Olympic medal. He's robbed through his prime in '94 to 2000 by competitors crashing into him. No one knows about that.
Returns the favour. He essentially returns the favour, and they sort of give him his just dues with his with his gold medal, because these guys, the ones that crashed out, right?
Yeah,
they probably spent 4 years recovering from that mentally, and then came back, dominated, got their own gold medals when Bradbury left. They got their own gold medals.
They get their own. They'll have their chance. They'll have their chance, right? Everyone falls over. So
do you reckon they did?
I hope so. I hope they got their Bradbury moment. But so he nearly bleeds out in '94, breaks his neck in 2000. In the lead up to 2002, he had to borrow $1,000 from his parents to fix his car so he could go to training, right? Because it's not a lucrative venture that he's pursuing.
Oh, no.
Right? No one gives a shit, right? He defies the doctors, represents Australia at the Olympics.
Gets into the final somehow.
It's his 4th Olympics, so it's he's equaled the record for the most number of Winter Olympics. Yep. He's the oldest bloke in the field. He acknowledges that publicly that he's got no chance of medaling. And you just focus on, and his gold was the first gold medal of anyone in the Southern Hemisphere at the Winter Olympics.
Wow, that is a big stat.
So, I mean, I like get almost offended when people say, like, when they use doing a Bradbury like you've got lucky. I'm like, yeah, fucking if you've broken your neck and bled out on the ice and turned up to training with no money and done 12 years in a sport that like no one gives a shit about, yeah, then you've done a Bradbury. If you just like, fall ass backwards into some money or something.
You don't even think that he got lucky in the end. You think that it was not that he got lucky on the day, but it was hard work for 10 years, 20 years.
He got his just desserts.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, so maybe
and there's a lot of guys who don't, right? Like I'm not a big F1 guy, but I have watched a lot of Drive to Survive, and I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on it. And those guys, they can go their whole careers without winning a Formula One race, without winning one. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It'd be like, playing AFL football, but never getting to the finals. Just being like demolished every year, just come back and get smashed again. Like, and you've reached the pinnacle of your sport. Like, you've done it. You're here. You're in the big league, and unlucky. Your team sucks. Soz.
It's so much about the team in F1, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Being the engineers and stuff.
I think the drivers like to think it is. But I've sort of, if you watch Drive to Survive, you get the vibe from a couple of the drivers that they're being total babies. Right? Like,
how so?
So they're on I love watching the highlights of the F1 like on YouTube and stuff, and I love listening to the radio of the drivers talking to their engineers and talking to their like race guys and all that sort of stuff, right? During the race. It's fascinating insight into what they're doing whilst they're going 300 Ks an hour or whatever. And a lot of the time they're like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with my wheel, guys? And they're like, we're looking into it. And he'll go, this is shit. Like, imagine seeing an AFL footballer just like throw up his hands at the coach in the box and just be like, what am I meant to do?
What's happening? What's happening?
This fucking bullshit. Like, I'm doing everything out here. No one's doing anything. It's just me. It's only me doing shit. Like, what the fuck's going on? Right? That's kind of like the vibe you get from some of them, like Lewis Hamilton and stuff. Like, they'll just get super angry. There was recently, because he's obviously been a dominant champion for a really long time. And he finally sort of like lost first place to Max Verstappen last season. So this season's got a whole different flavor to it because he's coming in like with not the best car in the field anymore. They're not the best car in the field anymore. They've got to like really work for it, right? And he was like I don't know what he was, but he was like P8 or P10 or something. And he says over the radio...
Sorry, is it P10? What is that your position, right?
Yeah.
Is that in the starting grid or just during the
race? Yeah, mid-race. He's just cruising around in P10 or something, or P15 or something like that, man.
Yep.
12, I don't know. And he's like, let's just stop, guys. Let's just stop the race. Like, let's just, I don't want to, let's just not. Let's just save the car. He says, let's just save the car. What's the point?
Is that a thing?
Like, it's a real thing. Because they only get a certain amount of money they can spend on their car every season or something. So, and your engine blows up, you only get like one more engine that you can put
and you only get points if you're in the top 10. So he's just saying, may as well retire.
Fuck it. Retire the car. Let's save it. But you've got guys who are in 23rd place who are racing like as hard as they can. Like, because that's what they're there to do. You showed up to the racetrack, presumably to race your cars around.
Bradbury. You don't know when everyone's going to skittle on the last corner.
Exactly. So he does this whole, let's just give up, right? He ends up like P4, P5. And all he had to do was just stay in the chair and keep driving. What?
So was he overtaking people or were they dropping off, like just crashing?
Yeah, dude. He would have gone like, this is shit. What's the point, guys? I got no pace today. I got nothing. And everyone else is probably sitting in their cars going, fuck, I'm feeling pretty slow today. Like, but they don't know Lewis is just behind them going like, so shit. It sucks so bad. Like,
spoiled brat.
and he's sort of like he'll take the wins as a team. Like, he's good about that. He'll say like, "Good work, boys. Like, good work today." When he wins, like, if they're like, "How'd it go today, Lewis?" He won't be like, "I'm the fucking man." Like, Conor McGregor or something behind the wheel. He'll be like, "I'm the fucking man." Like, fuck all these other guys and fuck my team as well and all this sort of shit. He doesn't do that. He says like, he owns the victories, but with the defeats, he's just like, "Yep, really don't know what happened today. Like, I felt like I was driving really well, but the car just wasn't doing anything, and I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have some talks after this, and we're gonna have to have words about the car." And it's like, wow. It's a weird sport, man. It's a weird sport.
I really want to get into it. I just watched the first turn, right? But I want to watch that Drive to Survive. Everyone raves about it. It must be done really well.
Yeah, I think
you all the context, all the hype you need, right?
I think you'll enjoy the first episode for sure.
What, season 1, episode 1?
Yeah, it starts off really well. Basically in your backyard.
Oh, Melbourne. Yeah. Okay.
No. As in, like, it's like the first episode they talked to Daniel Ricciardo a bit, and he's actually like, I think he might, they talk about Perth and stuff. We get a mention. We cop a mention.
Have I told you about my claim to fame?
Yeah, go on.
I've been in the same car as Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, okay. Well, you must have been pretty young at the time.
Oh, I was very young. His mum was driving. But she had damn fine skills, man. You see where he gets it from. She was cornering like a boss, just like hell sideways on the...
Yeah. That's a pretty good claim to fame, man.
Yeah, his sister was in our year.
Yeah, right.
So he grew up, okay, door to door. Okay, if you're talking as the crow flies, he was... I think I'm overestimating it, but I just don't want to... 400 meters.
Yeah, and now, it's crazy, isn't it? It's
400 meters from greatness. That's what he says. That's what he's telling people. He's probably telling people how he is in a car with me and stuff. One day he'll be talking about how, he knows this guy on a podcast.
Yeah, that'll be it.
Right?
Yeah. I used to have a joke like that because my dad knows a current AFL footballer, and I haven't met him yet. I'm the only person in my family who hasn't met him.
Is this Menegola?
Yeah.
I like Sam, man. I like him. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's great. He's amazing. But I make the joke to my father to piss him off primarily. I'll be like, yeah, well, by the time I meet Sam will be meeting me. Yeah.
I like that. They have that confidence, right?
Yeah. That's it. It's just a bit of a gag. It's just to annoy the old man.
Well, we should do it. We'll just have to keep talking shit.
Yeah.
Progressively better and better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if we're going to talk some shit, if you were an animal,
yeah,
what would you be?
Well, I'm an animal, but I think you're sort of asking me to be another animal.
That is the best answer I have ever heard. Well, I am an animal.
So it's pretty easy for me to imagine. There's a really good Norm joke. He starts off by saying, "Imagine you're a lady." For some of you, it will be easier. Okay, so I got to pick something else. Yeah, but see, the problem is, man, is that like
this is a little bit like being in someone else's body to experience their emotions, but being an animal is kind of the same thing. Like, what do you want to go through? Like, what kind of experiences do you want?
Yeah, because like you can go full alien with it if you want. You go, I'll be an octopus. I'll try that out.
That's a good one. That seems terrifying.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't do it. But like all of the animal kingdom is kind of terrifying if you.
Well, firstly, it's like laughing. Like the obvious choice for me. I'm looking at him now. He's so cute.
A dog.
Yeah, like just look. Hold your horses. The problem, he is so comfortable. But it's not much of a change because he sleeps in my bed and he's got the same girlfriend. So
That's
it's
the
like,
problem.
yeah. So
You go like, oh, how was your animal experience? Oh, it was great. I learned so much. I've got a whole new perspective on life and the universe. Oh yeah, what did you do? Oh man, just like slept on the couch for like hours at a time.
He looks so
Ate
cute.
food out of a bowl.
But what he has is security.
Yeah.
Security, right? So the octopus has no security.
Agreed. If you said to me that the challenge is you're going to spend a week in the body of another animal apart from a human, right? What do you want to spend a week in? Dog.
I'm not saying that's my final answer.
No. I would say that. If you said I have to spend a week there, oh, by the way, and if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life.
Oh, if you die as the
adding
animal,
I'm adding that.
Okay. So that's a good reason to be an animal in captivity because you'll be fine. But if it's only a week, then you don't have to worry about starvation because I don't think too many animals die in a week. So you can get away. I think you can get away with that. But he's got his bowls cut. Like I don't know what that feels like to not have any. I'm looking at him now. He's still so cute. But yeah, he's getting. The thing is, he eats dog food, right, which doesn't seem very appealing. But fuck, he spins and spins and spins before he gets his food. He is cheering and he eats it like it's like a creme brulee made by Gordon Ramsay.
Now here's the question: if you were in Lovingham head and you were eating the food, would you go, "Look, this is nice. This is really nice," but because you have your own experiences to compare them to, you'd be like, "There's no like Marco's Pizza." You know what I mean? You'd be like, "Look, it's good, but man, I now that I know this, I'm going to feed Lovingham like pizzas and stuff because way better than this."
I'm looking after him. I feed him little bits of treats. Like I gave him a little bit of salmon tonight. He liked that.
Yeah, nice.
And tiny little bits. And although I give him tiny, like the smallest little bits of chocolate. I know chocolate isn't good for dogs. RSPCA are probably going to be up in my shit after that. But the tiniest little bit because he loves it and he like, yeah, anyway, long story. I'm just talking about laughing. I could talk about him all day. But yeah, so I mean, the con is he's in captivity, but that's also kind of a positive if you're worried about dying in the Matrix.
Yes. See, because like, one side of me is like, well, why don't I just like be a gorilla for a week? You know what I mean? A mountain gorilla or a silver
very close to home, right? Yeah, being another ape.
That's the problem. I'll come back and go, yeah, it was pretty similar. It was a bit less homely, but familiar enough. It was familiar enough. I was chomping on a lot of leaves. You know what I mean?
That's why I wouldn't pick an ape or any of the great apes. I might pick a monkey, something that's like, swinging from the vines.
Like a spider monkey?
Like spider monkey. I reckon that'd be fun. But
there was a headline today that you would love. Well, no, it's actually terrible. Yeah. But the headline is that a spider monkey wearing a bulletproof vest died in a gun shootout, in a cartel gun shootout.
Why was the spider monkey wearing a bulletproof vest?
Unknown.
Do you reckon he's like one of the operatives?
Probably a pet of one of the guys.
They just want to look after him, so they put on this. How slim? What size bulletproof vest? Like some children's bulletproof vest.
Custom.
I don't want to be a spider monkey in the cartel. That's for sure. That you're not lasting a week there. Even with your bulletproof vest.
No, but see, I wouldn't want to be like a great white either. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want that either. I don't want to.
No, because they're too solo. We were talking about this last week. They're a solitary animal. I think you want to be something with friends.
Ah, yes, dolphins. They look like they're having a good time. I always used to say to people who are like, "Oh my god, look at the dolphins. They're so beautiful," and I always used to look at them. You know how they have that dolphin smile? I was like, they're not happy. They're hungry. You know what I mean? Like, they're out surviving.
They can
don't
be
have.
happy and hungry.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't think there is
they're
much
not like
happiness.
synonymous. You just say like, "How do you feel?" I'm hungry, and like
I don't think there's much happiness like in the animal kingdom when survival's at stake. You know what I mean? When
no, they get happiness. I think they do. I think they probably if you got them to fill out a form, if the dolphins could fill out a form, I think
You reckon
they're
they're
happier than us.
wow, you think the dolphins are happier than us? No, but I could accept that because like the lowest form, like the lowest sort of numbers of people with depression are found in like tribal communities and stuff. Because essentially you wake up, you got to do your things, you have to do all these things. There's no getting around it. There's a bit of survival is at stake sort of thing, and yeah, of course, like you're living a more fulfilling life. You're sort of like, you wake up, you do your things, you make sure you got dinner for tonight, you have your dinner, you go to sleep, you have to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah. We got a lot of time today to think about things, to ponder stuff. Whereas if we just go, yeah.
Yeah, they do a happiness survey with some, I don't know, they must just get people all around the world to do it. And apparently the happiest people are in Tibet. I don't know if it's Tibet, sorry. It's one of those Nepalese kind of like, the foothills of the Himalayas where they have fuck all. Like they're one of the poorest peoples on the planet.
Yeah, it says a lot. It's pretty deep.
They probably have family. They have enough to survive, and they fucking know it. They're cheering. They're like, "Yeah, man, we're surviving." Like, okay, and they're just cheering because they love it. They've got like perspective on what's important. So they got the family. They got the survival necessities. They're not like keeping up with the Joneses. I'm probably whether I like it or not. I'm thinking about how much other people get paid. If someone has like a better car or something. I don't even think about that much, but I must like intuitively, subconsciously think about some of these things because it sort of reflects on somehow reflects on your self-worth and things like that. So do away with that shit. Like social media must be absolutely poison for all that.
Absolutely
poison. Right. Absolutely. And so, but I think you want having people around you. So like dolphins, and the way they communicate, that would be fun, right?
Surfing a wave, that'd be great.
Surfing a wave. Maybe be like an elephant. They're like.
Sounds like I just want to go surfing. You know what I mean? That's that would be fun. And I can do that as a human. I don't, and I don't even know how to. But
we could do that. We should do that. Yeah, apparently that's a really common
wave pool. They've just approved that wave pool, the state government today.
Oh, I did see that. I looked up where that is. It's next to Jandakot Airport because that was supposed to be down my way in Melville.
That's right, it was.
And the local bowls club couldn't handle it. They just couldn't handle it.
Didn't want it.
Well, I think that had to go. It was them or the wave park, and they were up in arms about it. So it's fair enough.
But it's pretty cool, hey, like that they can sort of create, multiple different types of waves. And I think it's one of the ones that does. There's two types, right? There's the one where essentially a train runs down along the water and creates the wave. It's sort of like a train-looking thing, right? And it just sort of pushes the water to create the sort of curling wave or whatever you want to, like a real nice wave. And then there's the other one that sort of looks like a mushroom in the middle of the water, and it just goes glump,
it just
into the ground, and then just comes back up, and it creates a rippling wave that goes in all directions. Right?
I don't know about the train one. I think I've only seen the Kujunk one.
The Kablunki one. Yeah. Well, that's really funky. That's quite cool. Now you should look up the other one. The one that I'm thinking of is Kelly Slater's wave pool.
Yeah.
That they just built in a lake somewhere.
Man, it's gonna be very cool. I'm very happy with that. Apparently, isn't it the biggest one in
Southern Hemisphere?
Southern Hemisphere. Yeah, they should call it the Stephen Bradbury.
Well, the Southern Hemisphere, man. Only 20% of the world's population lives below the equator.
Yeah. Okay.
No one gives a shit about.
Is that it? Is it? Yeah. Okay. Well, you got
No one cares, man. That's why all the Christmas stuff is
a fair bit of India, right? If not, we got a huge chunk of India. I think. Other potential animals. I was thinking a snow leopard.
Oh yeah, but isn't that quite a solitary experience?
That what that one is. That's the opposite end of the scale. But
And just quickly, Clark,
yeah,
none of India is below the
are
equator.
you kidding me?
None.
Fuck! Wow, that's blown my mind. Really?
None.
And you got to check your atlas. Check your
We
Google Maps out.
we do have a lot of Brazil.
Okay.
Like we've got a lot of,
wait. But a lot of Brazil.
yeah, not all of Brazil.
Not
but
all of Brazil, man. I got to go back to school. I got to get some geography lessons. What? Not all of Brazil. Okay. Man, I thought the equator basically went through like Mexico or something.
No, that's the horse ship map that we all got told that was the world map when we were children. And we still do. Like when people think of a world map, they're thinking of Mercator's projection, which makes stuff in the northern hemisphere look massive when it isn't, right? And one of the biggest examples that we've got in my family, there's a bit of an heirloom thing. It's an old school desk. Yeah,
it's an old wooden
ship. World on it. It's got a map of the world on it. It's made of It's now being hung on a wall somewhere. I think it's down south. And what my dad used to do, played a little game called he'd go, "Did you know that Greenland, is nearly the size of Africa?" And the answer is no, it isn't. It is nowhere near that big. But on this map, that same map, you could pick up Greenland and plonk it into Africa, and you'll be all the way up to like the Egypt line.
Yeah, okay. Trying to make a 2D image of a 3D thing, isn't it? It is though, right? Because
no, it's not about that at all.
They're stretching it to make it rectangular.
It doesn't matter. The grid is wrong. The grid is completely wrong. And I think my dad explained this by saying, it's to do with the shipping lanes and stuff, right? But I watched an episode of West Wing, and the West Wing pretty much says that it was because he wanted to make the problems of Africa seem small and
enlarge
to make the United States bigger. So if you look at one of those maps, you'll see the grid lines, which indicate sort of distance, right? But they get really oblong in the middle. They get really oblong, like they've just stretched it, like they've just pincered it with their finger. And it's super weird. I've always been fascinated by the world map because a real world map looks really weird. Like where Africa is really big, and South America is really long and big. It's fascinating. And Greenland's tiny.
Man, I love that solution. They come up with a problem. Like we're trying to make the problems in Africa look small, so we'll make the country look small. Like that logic.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, really.
And we want to intimidate people, so we'll make our country look big.
Yeah, or they just wanted to have more detail on the map. You know what I mean? Where they could show state lines and stuff like that. Look, I don't know. That other map is really old. I thought it was quite old, probably before America. But
I have seen different maps with different projections, and they're quite different. They're vastly different. I didn't realize that, but I thought it's to do with because think about it practically. You are taking something that's round and laying it flat. So it's not like if you did that, it would sort of have to rip in certain places, right? When you put it flat, you don't just unravel it and it's going to be a perfect rectangle, right? Things have to be distorted for it to become a rectangle. Yeah. Fact, like to take, unwrap like a, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that's wrapped up round like an Easter egg, but that's kind of bad because that is a square thing or potentially square, which you then wrap around, but it has all like your excess in bits. But yeah, anyway, it gets warped. Yes.
You can't really do it, but this is the best we've got is the kind of sort of idea behind it, I guess. Unless you want to go have you seen the Flat Earth world map?
I don't. I probably have somewhere.
You should
Is
look
it?
it up.
Wait, but that's the round one with the ice wall, right? It's like
Ice
it's
wall
just
on
a
the
big circle.
outside.
Big circle.
You know how they say that like Australia doesn't exist. Some people say Australia doesn't exist, or like they
Really?
try to explain
Yeah.
like why it takes so long to fly from Australia and stuff. And I'm like, well, it can't be because it's on the other fucking side of the world, can it? No, it's to it's to do with when you put it on like the flat Earth model. Like you can draw a line from like it's like Argentina to Australia, and you cross over Mexico and stuff like that. Like that's the way it's there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
So
thought. Okay.
no, it's just hilarious.
Just trying to make it work.
Good yarns.
Yeah. Um, I'm not done with this animal thing, Aiden.
Oh no,
I'm
no, no.
thinking about animals.
And I still don't know where I'd want to spend a week, to be honest.
Oh yeah, where you spend a week. This doesn't really work, but I think a caterpillar is something that it would be very exciting because you get to go through that whole metamorphosis into the butterfly, and then you can fly.
That is interesting.
But you need more than a week.
Do you? You could time
I
it.
think you cocoon it. I think they cocoon for more than.
Yeah, but you could time it just at the end of the cocooning.
Oh,
Like
I think
maybe a
you
day or
want to
two in the
be a
cocoon.
caterpillar, so you understand that experience of just eating like leaves and yearning to fly, right? And you know you're destined for something greater.
Is that
You're
right?
walking around, you're
Is that
nibbling,
right?
you're chewing,
Is
you're
that right?
fearful. You're fearful. You're like, what's around me? Like, what's going on? And then you just go to sleep.
Yeah.
You wrap yourself up in a little cocoon. You don't really know what's happening. You're growing wings.
What's happening?
What is happening, right?
What is happening?
Blow your mind. And then you'd start cracking your way through that little cocoon
Yeah.
shell,
Yeah.
and you're born again. But you've already
Bro.
had a life
And wings.
and wings. And then you go, what the fuck are these? And then you stretch them out, stretch your back out. You're like, ooh,
is
these
that?
feel good. And then you just flap away. Then you start rooting other butterflies, right?
That is so crazy. That is so crazy.
It is
that
crazy, right?
They've got this thing that's evolutionarily built in that they'll go into a little tank, pop themselves in it, and bust out with wings.
It's got to be the coolest.
It's like
One of the
Iron
coolest
Man
things
shit. They go
is
into
Iron Man.
they go into their cave, they go put the suit on, and nature puts the suit on them. And they fly. But do they know they're going to fly one day?
I think they have. I reckon they would
When you're a
carry
caterpillar-
the memories of their previous generations, where they know that they could do something, but they don't. But they deep down, intuitively, they have these like weird, like not memories of flying.
No.
No, their brain would be wired for flight.
Come on,
So
man.
they're probably caterpillars going, why can't I fly?
You're going like flapping their phantom wings.
Yeah, they're probably
Well,
like, what
what's
is
going
wrong
on?
with me? I know I can fly. I know
I don't
one day
know.
I'm going to fly.
I don't know much about caterpillars, butterflies, all that sort of stuff, right? What are we talking about? Are they what do they turn into?
Butterflies.
Caterpillars turn into butterflies?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like, the butterflies that I see are like little ones. They were caterpillars. Is that what you're saying to me?
I think all butterflies were once caterpillars. Is that like I don't know. Or can you just be a butterfly? I don't think so. I think you have to come.
Yeah, of course. But like that's such a confusing concept because no other animal that I'm sort of aware of
Goes
has
through
that
such a phase
built in,
change. Yeah.
big transformation, butterfly, yeah. So I'm a bit foggy on caterpillar biology, but they hang out with their mum and dad after they're born. So the caterpillars, when you're eating leaves, does mum and dad pop by and say, how's the leaves going or whatever? Or are they alone in the world or part of a big caterpillar community or what's the jam?
Oh, they're probably just like I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I think I think they're on their own. They're just left on a leaf and they just start eating it.
Because if mum and dad butterfly come back and they're flapping around, they're like, hang on, what's going on? How come I'm doing this and you guys are flying around? And they go, don't worry. After you've had your cocoon time, you'll see. You'll come out. You'll be a butterfly like us. Like that sort of makes sense, but
I don't know.
I
But
love that though.
I think the best animal, the one for me, is reindeer. I want
Yeah,
to be a
you just
reindeer.
want to
Yeah,
you want to fly.
I want to get blazed off magic mushrooms.
What do you mean?
Reindeer eat the fucking psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah, do they?
Have you heard the magic mushroom Xmas
Yeah, but
theory?
are you sure that deer are actually doing these hallucinogenics, or maybe it's just
No,
people
no,
inside the deer's consciousness who are
no,
making them eat
no.
the
Well,
mushrooms?
both the people and the deer are tripping.
Right, so the deer's trying to get inside a human brain by tripping on magic mushrooms, and we're all thinking about trying to get into the deer's brain so that we can eat magic mushrooms.
Have you ever thought about the bizarre Christmas traditions? Like, do you ever you sort of take it for granted? It's pretty easy to take for granted, right? Like, because
Yeah,
you just always you don't question it for
yeah.
starters because you want to
get
be part
presents.
of it. Yeah, you want to
You get
be part of
presents.
it. Right?
You get presents. If you said, "What's the deal with this?" Like, you're not going to be like, "Oh, fuck it, I'm knocking Christmas on the head this year. I don't want to do it." You'd be like,
You're not going to
"There's still
say
presents happening, right? Yeah,
you're not
cool.
going to say
All right, well,
Santa's red
whatever."
suit is dumb, right?
Yeah,
So Santa's style, his bag of goodies, the sleigh, the reindeer, the chimney entry, the way we decorate the house. Yep, the tree, the gift giving. Apparently, they all stem back from indigenous Arctic Circle dwellers in Siberia and some really intense mushrooms.
yeah, and that was what was under the tree. It didn't used to be presents. It was the mushrooms that would be under the tree. They would grow under the tree, and
It
then you
was.
hang them on the tree because that's how you used to dry them out or whatever. So all of the ornaments on the tree would have just been essentially them curing hallucinogenics ready for consumption to celebrate whatever it was that they were celebrating, right?
That's how I understand it.
Yeah.
The spores of the Anemita muscara mushrooms, which are those red and white ones. So they're red, predominantly red with the white spots on them that you see in Super Mario and you just see them around. Culturally, they're a pretty big deal.
Alice in Wonderland and whatnot.
Alice in Wonderland, yeah. So their spores travel exclusively on pine seeds. So they're more likely. That's why they commonly grow at the bottom of pine trees.
Interesting. And pine trees, Christmas, right? Yeah. Okay.
Pine trees is a Christmas tree, right? So the shaman in these Arctic Circle tribes would go around picking these mushrooms. Like you say, drying. Sometimes he picks them, leaves them on the tree to dry, or he puts them in a sock and hangs them over the fire to dry.
Yeah,
because the
boy.
mushrooms themselves are fatally toxic unless you dry them out. Or if reindeer eat them, they process the toxins out and you can drink their urine.
No way.
Yeah, man. But that's a bit more aggressive, right? Urine is a bit more aggressive.
If someone said, "Look, you can have your trip now, your experience now, if you want to drink the deer piss, or alternatively, we have some in the sock over the fire over there, and if you just wait a bit, you'll be able to eat those ones."
No, I don't want it now.
Which one do you want? Oh, give me the deer piss. Give me the deer piss. Fill up a yard glass. Let's fucking go.
And so the shaman would be out collecting mushrooms, and he'd do it in a red outfit with.
Why would he do it in a red outfit?
With white trim or white polka dots on it to honor the mushroom, because they consider it like a sacrament, it's a really important part of their culture. So they would do this. They would do this on the winter solstice, 21 December. They get everyone together.
Today,
21 December.
No, in the
northern hemisphere. I'm talking
right now. It's tonight is our winter solstice. Actually,
we should crack out some mushrooms.
Yeah.
And so he would cruise around collecting these mushrooms. He'd get back to the yurt. It was called, which is like a giant
hut.
tent. Yeah, it's like a big hut, and it's a big, large tenty thing. And people gather together to celebrate the winter solstice. But by the time he gets back, it's snowing a lot, and so it won't be uncommon for there to be feet of snow in front of the entrance. So he climbs in through the chimney with his bag of goodies full of mushrooms. So he goes through the top.
Why does he go through the top?
You can't get through the front door. It's got snow.
Right.
Snowed in. They're snowed in. They're snowed in the yurt.
Snowed
Right.
in.
Classic.
So he would jump in the chimney.
He would come down through the chimney to give out the sacrament, the presents, the gift of knowledge.
Amazing. Now it's like but for me, when I was a kid, I wasn't gathering around the Christmas tree and getting mushrooms from my parents at Christmas time. It was like remote control cars, you know, it was chip-away dinosaurs, you know, chip-away dinosaurs, remember those things?
Yeah. Oh, I love those. I bought one recently.
So you had a big rock and you get a little pick and you get to chip away and you find all these bones and they'll build into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It was great. It only lasted the morning because me and my brother were straight outside and we're just hammering that thing out, man.
Dude, archaeologist. Yeah, and so people start tripping balls. And then the legend is that the shaman and his reindeer fly to the North Star, which sits above the North Pole, to retrieve gifts of knowledge, which they'll then distribute to the rest of the village. And so this tradition started, intermingles with other things going on, right? And with other myths and things of that nature. And then some things stick and some things don't. Victorian Christmas cards from the Victorian era quite commonly had the Amanita muscara mushroom on them.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is
bizarre. You can find it. You still find it on the occasional Christmas card today. You'll still find it.
Yeah. It's a really weird connection, right? Where you just understand. But think about all the connections. What the fuck is with the sock? Like, just think about that alone, right? There's stocking, right? It's a bizarre.
Why do we put things in the stocking?
I fucking love it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but why? Right? The red Santa suit is kind of
that was
bizarre.
Coca-Cola, right? He's just a massive Coke can.
They did popularize that, but before that, it was. This is what I mean about myths getting intertangled.
And what I was going to say just before is that it's not just the one myth that we're dealing with today, right? Because you've still got your Santa myth, you've got your Jesus myth and your Santa myth lining up at the same time. They're both here on the same day to do their thing, right? And they're not at odds with one another because people like Christmas and, some people are like, oh yeah, Christmas, it's Jesus's, Jesus's birthday. But it's interesting that it's sort of in essence, they've both stuck. Even this ancient one, both of them.
Yeah, they just sort of co-opt each other and intermingle, and who knows what
as a modern human, you're robbed of the experience, this religious experience that they were potentially having with their...
Completely robbed, because the stigma on drugs is just the war on drugs type stigma. And I understand that you have to be careful with certain things, but we are society, we are a nanny state, all right? No one trusts me with being an adult. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing.
Well,
give me some credence. Let me just be an adult.
I agree.
Make my decisions.
I agree.
In a well-researched and careful, controlled way.
Yep. On that, great job.
You too, mate.
Happy days. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to shoot us an email. I did check the emails the other day.
Nothing now?
No, I didn't see any. But because these episodes are being released into the sort of slightly out of whack, you might be thinking, why haven't they read out my email? We will read out your email, but we haven't received it yet. So get them in, and we'll see you next time.